Hi guys. Okay, so today I'm going to do a demonstration about a lot of different types of eggs. I'm going to show you different variations of how to cook an egg. We talked about that you can cook an egg 100 different ways, but I'm only going to cook an egg 5 different ways today. So what I'm going to talk about first is soft to hard boiled eggs. So what I have going here is a pot of boiling water, and to get the perfect soft to hard boiled egg, you're going to number your eggs 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. This indicates the time that the egg goes into the pot of boiling water. Some of you might make your hard-boiled eggs by putting them into cold water and bringing them up to a boil, but you can't really control the heat on the egg. If you bring your water to a boil first, then you'll know exactly how long the eggs are going to be boiling for. I have some timers set here, so I'm going to put in my eggs because it's going to take the longest 14 minutes, and then I'll be doing some other eggs while we're waiting for those to cook. So you want to make sure that you have a bowl of cold, icy water. So I just put some ice with cold water in here. So when the eggs come out, they'll go into the water so that they'll stop the cooking process. We don't want them to continue to cook. We want to make sure that they only cook for that specific time. You also want to make sure you have a slotted spoon here so that you can drop your eggs into the water carefully without dropping them and them floating to the bottom and cracking all over the place. You want to slowly put your eggs in. So I'm going to put all my eggs in here. So I have my 6 and my 8, and I already put the numbers on there with a Sharpie. And then I have my 10 and 12. And the last one's my 14. So as those timers go off, I'll just pull out the eggs and put them into the ice bath to stop that cooking process. Okay, the next egg that I'm going to show you is a poached egg. Some people are a little scared to poach an egg because it is kind of a difficult task to do. It's not like scrambling egg or making an omelet. You have to get a poaching liquid ready. So in my water here, I've only filled it up to make sure that the egg just is covered in the water. I did add a little bit of vinegar to it. It helps to coagulate that white when you put it into the poached liquid. One thing you need to remember is the temperature of your water when you're poaching your egg. You don't want it to be a rolling boil. You only want it to be a simmer. And if you remember from before, a simmer is only bubbles floating up to the top. So I can actually turn this up just a tad bit here. And if you want to come over and see, you can see on the bottom that you can see those little bubbles forming. That's what you want. You want it to be very, very light. You don't want it to be a rapid boil in your water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack my egg for my poached over here. I have a fine mesh strainer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack it right into here because it's going to get rid of any of that extra liquid in the white that causes it to kind of get a little bit airy when you put it into the poaching liquid. So I have that, and I'm going to actually put it right into my ramekin, very carefully making sure that I don't break my yolk, that I keep my yolk and my white intact. So what I'm going to do over here is my poaching liquid is ready. I've had it going for a little bit. Remember, it's crucial about the temperature of the water. If you put this in when it's rapidly boiling, it's going to destroy your poached egg. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop my egg into my poached liquid with this ramekin. This is an important step too because you want to make sure that you keep that egg all together. So I drop it in there. It's okay if it drops to the bottom a little bit, and I'm going to let it cook. This usually takes about 3 minutes for the poached egg, and you can see I did that correctly because now the white is starting to form and the yolk will stay solid in the middle and it'll still be runny. You can take your slotted spoon. I actually like to use more of a plastic one here, and you can give it a little bit of a tug here so that it does release from the bottom. But be careful because you do not want to break that yolk inside. You're trying to keep it all together in one little spot. You can see that some of the white is starting to come up. If I didn't strain that, a lot of the times the white will get all into the water here and it'll look really murky, and sometimes you have to do like a swirling technique to get the white to start to coagulate together. But if you strain it first and you get rid of that excess liquid, it helps your poached egg have a prettier finish when it comes out. What you would use poached eggs for is something called Eggs Benedict. These go great right on top of English muffins, and then you would make something called a hollandaise sauce. Remember, hollandaise sauce is a sauce that is used by an emulsifier, so that it emulsifies two liquids together that don't usually go together, but if you add an egg yolk to them, then it emulsifies and stays solid. So I can see that this is cooking up real nice. With eggs, you just have to be a little bit patient. Some of them cook up quickly, but others take just a little time. So this looks great. It's starting to float. I can tell that the white is being cooked and that the center, that yolk inside, is still staying runny. And that's what you want. You want that to all stay intact. I would say probably just a little longer, maybe about 30 seconds or so. And the reason why I want to use my slotted spoon is so that I get out all that poaching liquid and it kind of just falls out the bottom. And then I'm going to actually place it onto a napkin. You can place it onto a paper towel if you have one. It's just kind of to drain the excess liquid because it is being cooked in water. So that's poaching. I'm poaching an egg, but you can poach really anything. You can poach chicken, you can poach fish, you can even add some seasonings to the water to get inside of whatever you are poaching in that liquid. So this looks really nice here. Like I said, I think it's ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very carefully with my slotted spoon pull up that egg. You can see there that the yolk is still runny in the middle. That's exactly what I want. And I'm going to just come over here and just lay it down onto my napkin so that the liquid on the bottom kind of soaks it up so it's not so runny if I was to put it right on top of an English muffin or something. So this is a poached egg. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you, which you guys probably think is pretty simple, is a scrambled egg. So I'm just going to take my egg. I'm actually going to do two, and I'm going to crack them right into my bowl. It's important when you're cracking your egg to make sure you don't get any shells in there. But also too, I want you guys to look. You want to bring this over here? This is a great example. So see that right coming off of here? It's that cord-like strand. We talked about this in your PowerPoint presentation. That's the chowza. So that's what actually keeps the white and the yolk connected together. So when you guys crack your eggs, look and see if you can see where that chowza is right there. And then it kind of gives you a better perspective of a real egg rather than just an illustration like we had in your PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to add a little bit of milk to my scrambled egg because this gives it more of a fluffy consistency. You don't have to add milk when you do scrambled eggs, but it's nice because it gives it that nice, soft, fluffy texture. What I'm doing, okay, my 6-minute egg, I'm just going to stop, is ready. So I'm going to take that out. It's right here. And I'm going to put it into my water bath and let it sit, and then we'll wait for the next ones to come. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm whisking this up. I'm creating air. Remember, if you were to just whisk the egg whites, it usually in a KitchenAid mixer or something like that, you would be here forever if you did it with a whisk or a hand mixer. You're creating that air. Those air cells in the egg start to break down and they start to create a foam. We're not going to do that so intensely for a scrambled egg, but you're definitely incorporating air. That's what gives it that fluffy texture. You want to make sure that the yolk is completely broken up and is mixed together with the white and with the milk. I'm going to start my pan here. Remember, use some sort of non-stick spray. You always want to take it off of the fire and you want to spray it on here. Please do not ever spray it directly on here when your flame is on because it is flammable and it could explode. I'm just going to turn it on to a medium to high heat. I'm going to let that heat up for a second. Why I didn't heat that up first is because I don't want it to get too hot, because then that's how you get that brown on the bottom of your eggs. I just want to heat it up right before I'm ready to cook. So this looks really good, my scrambled egg. This is exactly what you would do to start off an omelet. The difference between that is that omelets, you would add something to them and they're kind of like a blanket on the bottom of the pan, and then you fold them up and you eat them that way. With your scrambled egg, you're going to put it into the pan and you're going to kind of scramble it while it's in the pan, not leaving it as a blanket like an omelet would be, which I'm going to show you guys next. There's my 8-minute egg, so I'll take out that 8-minute and I'll put him into the ice bath, and then I will show you my scrambled here. So what I'm going to do now, I know that my pan's ready, I'm going to add my liquid here to the pan. So I'm just going to go around the edges. If you wanted to add some seasoning to your eggs, you could do that while you were scrambling them. That's totally fine. One thing you do not want to do is you do not want to add cheese to the egg mixture until it's almost done cooking. The reason why is because the cheese is going to burn on the bottom here, and then it's going to turn all brown and rubbery. So if you're going to add cheese to your scrambled eggs, you want to wait until more towards the end when the eggs are cooked, and then that's when you want to add in your cheese or whatever else you want. So I'm just kind of going around the edges, and I'm going to go into the middle here, and I'm going to kind of just scramble the egg. I'm going around the edges because sometimes people don't do that, and then these overcook over here and they turn all brown. You want them to be fluffy and this opaque yellow color. You don't want to overcook eggs. Remember, if you overcook them, they start to turn all rubbery. So these look real nice. Super fast, right? I'm sure a lot of you have made scrambled eggs before. Believe it or not, some people have never made scrambled eggs before. And that's okay. There's always time to learn. So these look really good. Some people like their eggs a little bit runny. Some people like them cooked a little bit more. But I think that looks great. I don't see any brown color here. I think that they look very nice and they're very fluffy with a good consistency. I'm going to just take my eggs and put them right here. Then I'm going to get my 10-minute egg that I see is done. And see, this is great, guys, to write the numbers on here with the Sharpie before, so you can just see, okay, that's my 10. Now I just put that in. Now I have 2 left. So, sorry, my dog's barking. Lily, hey, stop it. All right. So I'm actually just going to just clean this off real quick because I'm going to use it again for my omelet that I'm going to make. Okay, so for my omelet, same type of thing. I'm just going to spray it so that it's ready to go, but I'm not going to turn it on yet. It's probably still a little bit hot anyways from before. I'm going to get my eggs into my bowl. Same thing, just like with the scrambled egg. I'm going to crack 2 eggs in here. If you want it to be a little bit bigger omelet, you can use 3 eggs, you can use 4, whatever your preference is. I actually do like to add a little bit of milk to my mixture, even when I'm making an omelet, because I think it just makes it more creamy and it's more delicious. So what I like to do is I kind of like to pierce the yolk and then start to scramble so that it doesn't flip out of the bowl when I start to scramble. And you can see that I'm just working in that air, like I said. So one thing with an omelet here, it's important to season things, right? So I didn't season my scrambled eggs, but you sure can. I'm gonna put a little garlic salt in here and a little bit of pepper. And there's my 12-minute egg. Multitasking, right? This is how you would do something if you were trying to get together a full composed plate. Always constantly working. So I'm going to just whisk this up right here. I'm going to turn on my fire now, that medium heat. You don't need it to be too hot because you don't want it to burn. So I'm just making a regular omelet. There's different types of omelets. There's a Western omelet, a French omelet, tons of different types of omelets, and that has to do with the amount of time that you cook the actual egg mixture. For today, I'm just making it simple, and I'm just going to make an omelet and add a little bit of cheese. You're more than welcome to add asparagus, bacon, sausage, whatever you'd like to your omelet, spinach, and make it delicious for you to eat at home. Or you don't have to add anything and you could just make it straight egg omelet. But I'm going to show you here when you would add in those delicious add-ons. And that would be after you set your omelet in the pan. So I have it sprayed here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay that down, making sure that it's like a blanket on the bottom of your pan. You want to make sure you're using a small saute pan like this. If you're using some giant one, it's going to be a very large omelet. So you want to keep it small. So I like to go around the edges, making sure that my omelet is not sticking too much. We want to make sure we set up our omelet here. And we're not going to damage the middle. We're not going to scramble it around because this is not scrambled eggs. This is an omelet. So I want to make sure that it is going to hold whatever I put inside and also hold enough so that I can fold it in the end. And this is my last egg, my 14-minute egg. So we'll put it in the ice bath, and that will be the last thing I'll show you guys after I do the sunny side up egg, and you'll see the difference between the soft to hard boiled. Okay, so this looks pretty nice here. You want to make sure that you don't have any liquid in the middle when you go to flip the omelet. So I can see that I have a little bit more time, but I'm still constantly going around the edges because I don't want them to stick. But I can see that the liquid still needs to set up, right? So you can give it a little bit of a lean here and let some of that liquid come onto the sides so that it evenly cooks. But it just looks like one big large egg blanket. Okay, so see how it's starting to set up all the way around. And remember what that's called when the eggs start to heat up, they start to coagulate. So the fats in them start to harden, and that's how you get them to cook. Okay, so this is looking really nice. It's almost there. And like I said, this would be the time that you would add in whatever you would want to put in the middle. So if you wanted to chop up bacon, if you wanted some cheese. And remember, the reason why I didn't put it into the mixture when it was in the bowl and then put it inside is because it can start to burn on the bottom when we're waiting for that to set up. So what you want to do here is you can spread it around if you'd like, but I know that I'm going to fold it up. So I'm just going to put it onto one side here. And you could do a tri-fold where you fold it a couple of times. You can fold it in the middle, whatever your preference is. It's kind of difficult to actually fold it 3 times over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it together. So I would say that that's a little more color than I would like it to be. My pan was probably a little hot, especially too because I used it prior to for the scrambled eggs, but it's still going to be just as delicious. So when you are making different varieties, like I said, of omelets, the way that the egg is cooked on here on the bottom is is what they are defined as. So a French omelet, you would hardly cook it, it would still be actually runny inside. This is a Western omelet, and so it's cooked all the way through. So that's your omelet right there. And like I said, you can fold it over just in half, or you can try to do the tri-fold where you put it half and then another time, so it's 3 times over, and it looks really nice too for presentation. My last egg that I'm going to do is a sunny side up egg. You can get fancy and you can try and make it a over easy or over medium egg, and that's when you flip the egg and it's still runny in the middle, but you kind of completely cover it up, and it almost looks like a poached egg, but it's just cooked on here. So whatever your preference is for eggs is how you like it, but for time, I'm just going to show you a sunny side up egg real quick. And this one's pretty simple as well. So I already have my my pan's probably still hot from before, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to crack my eggs straight into my pan. So make sure if you are using a pan that wasn't heated up prior to, that it is nice and hot for you. And if you're not good at cracking eggs and you're worried that you're going to get a shell, then crack it into a bowl before, and then see, I got a teeny tiny little shell right there, and crack it into a bowl before, and then place it in there. So this is hot, very hot. It shouldn't have been this hot, but I'm using the same pan, so this is going to go very fast. Like before, I like to kind of go around and make sure that it's not sticking, because I'm going to be placing it on a plate. You can see this is a great example of the structure of the egg. So the egg white and then the yolk inside. Make sure to look for that chalza that comes off so you know what it is. You can also think about the different membranes that make up the egg and all the different layers of the egg inside when you're cooking it, to just try and look and see if you can identify those. But a lot of people like their sunny side up where they can see the yolk. If you were to fold this over, then this would quickly become an over easy or an over medium egg. I'm just going to try and get that little shell. There, got it. So all I want to do is I want to make sure that that white is nice and set before I transfer it to my plate so that it doesn't break. But it looks beautiful. It looks like it's almost ready here. And like I said, if you wanted to make that over easy egg, this is the time that you would flip it, and you would either fold it over, or you can flip it completely, which would make it a fried egg. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just make sure that it doesn't catch on here, that it's loosened up. Perfect. All right, now I'm going to take it and I'm just going to drop it on my plate. All right, so that's a sunny side up egg. This is my omelet and my scrambled, and now I'm just going to crack open those eggs for you, and we're just going to see the 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14-minute eggs and what they look inside, and then we are done. So I'm going to take these eggs over here. It's important that I keep them in order because I want it on my cutting board. I'm going to cut into them so that you guys can see. Okay. So one thing that I want to remind you is that we want to crack the egg where the air cell is located. That air cell is that pocket, and that will help you actually peel your egg. And when I crack it open, you'll be able to see. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a tap here. And you can already see at the bottom here that there is a hole almost. That is the air cell. You can give it a little bit of water, and like what I would have you guys doing in class is placing something like this, a strainer, so that it catches all of the shells, because you don't want to put those down the sink. But this one, so this is the was the one that was cooked the least amount of time. So it is going to be extremely jammy in the middle. And that would be your yolk. So I'm carefully taking off. I didn't do the best job at removing the shell here. But like I said, you can use some of the water to kind of get under there, under that membrane, to help you a little bit. I hope that I don't damage it so that too much. Okay, I'm not going to continue to do that anymore because I don't want it to open up and then we lose the whole effect of what that first one is. And it will be the softest one here. So it might break on us, but we're just going to leave it. So now my 8. So I'm going to do the same type of thing. If you start at the air cell where that hole is, then it will help you when you're peeling your eggs. I don't know if maybe some of you guys like to make egg salad a lot, or maybe you guys just like hard-boiled eggs. They're great for breakfast to make. So this would be your 8-minute egg, and this one is a little bit, sorry, my timers keep going off. So my 8-minute. Great example. See that? There's the air cell right there on the bottom of the egg. If you've never seen that before, all the eggs have it. The older the egg, the larger the air cell. Next, my 10-minute. And obviously we want to try not to damage the egg very much. I'm trying to get through this, so I'm not being as careful as I should be, but this one looks really good. Your 10 to 12-minute eggs are typically the ones you would use most for egg salad or to eat because they do set up nicely. And then here's my 12. And it is just a preference on how you like them. If you like the middle to be a little bit more jammy, then you would probably prefer a 8-minute egg. Not many people eat their eggs as 6-minute eggs, but it is an option. And here's this. And then our last 14-minute egg. And once again, going from the bottom where that air cell is will help you peel back the shell and the membrane. You'll see that there is a little bit of a membrane right underneath that shell, and that's that first membrane that we talked about in our PowerPoint. Okay, so now for the reveal. So we're gonna cut right into these. Obviously, my first one you'll see is very jammy. Very jammy. So that's our 6-minute guy. Then we will go to the next, which is our 8. And this one should stick together a little bit more. Yep, that's very beautiful. So if you like yours to be a little bit more jammy and stuck together, then that would be your choice on doing a 8-minute egg. Then here is our 10-minute egg. And this should have the insides. See how the yolk is still a little jammy, but starting to set up real nice. Next is our 12. And this is what you would typically do for if you were going to be making egg salad or even hard-boiled eggs. And then our last would be our 14 minutes. And there you go. Really nice. So 6, a little messy here. 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay? And then this is our beautiful poached egg. You can see now that it has sat there for a little bit. It has dried out a tad. That was from the others, but you can see in the middle that it is still very much so juicy, so that if you were to crack that open on top of an Eggs Benedict, you would have all of that yolk to dip your toast in or to dip your English muffins in or whatever. So this is a variation of 5 different ways to make an egg. Like I said, there's so many different ways, 100 ways that we know the French cuisine teaches you in culinary school, but different things are calling for eggs all the time. Not just breakfast items, but also cakes, muffins, pasta, so many things. So I hope this gave you a great example of some ways that you can make these eggs at home, or even take it to the next level and make something a little bit more difficult. Please make sure that you're filling in all the follow along notes and that you're turning those in at the end of class. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.